few months ago, Google announced a breakthrough AI memory compression algorithm called TurboQuant. The internet immediately started making the same joke. Google finally built Pied Piper. And honestly, the joke isn't even that funny anymore. Because at this point, Silicon Valley has stopped looking like satire and started looking like leaked scripts from the future. Almost. The show's entire premise revolved around a startup discovering a revolutionary compression algorithm while working under the in-universe stand-in for Google, and a large majority of the show is Hooli trying to acquire the algorithm. Now fast forward to 2026, and Google announces a compression breakthrough that dramatically reduces AI memory requirements, and suddenly half the internet is asking for a Wiseman score. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that this isn't the only thing Silicon Valley got right. The AI talent wars, the startup acqui-hires, the founders being pushed out of their own companies, the race to build platforms nobody can properly explain. The show ended in 2019, yet somehow every year it's more and more relevant. Not because it predicted technology, anyone could have done that, but because it understood the people building it, and those people haven't changed at all. When Silicon Valley premiered in 2014, most people treated it like a niche comedy. If you worked in tech, it was hilarious because it was accurate. If you didn't work in tech, it was funny because everybody was socially dysfunctional. But over time, something strange happened. The tech industry stopped being a niche world. Now everybody lives in it. AI companies influence elections, startups move stock markets, OpenAI launches a new model and entire industries panic. The culture that Silicon Valley was mocking became the mainstream culture, and that transformed the show. When it aired, it felt exaggerated. Today, it almost feels conservative. Let's start with the most obvious example. Pied Piper's core innovation was compression. Not social media, not AI, not crypto, compression. A boring, technical breakthrough that nobody outside engineering would have cared about. Sound familiar? Because Google just announced TurboQuant, and they claim reductions around 6 times lower memory usage without sacrificing any accuracy. Multiple independent outlets reported the exact same numbers, and researchers are positioning it as a major advancement in AI efficiency. And obviously, the internet started making Pied Piper comparisons. And not just fans of the show either. Engineers, researchers, industry professionals, entire Reddit threads turned into Silicon Valley references. People were literally asking for Wiseman scores. Now, obviously, TurboQuant isn't middle-out compression, but that's almost besides the point. The funny thing is that for years, Silicon Valley's compression storyline felt like a pipe dream. The show's central joke was that the most valuable technology in the world wasn't a flashy consumer product, it was infrastructure. Now AI has made infrastructure the most important battleground in technology, just like the show imagined. One of the smartest things Silicon Valley ever did was create Gavin Belsons. Because Gavin wasn't supposed to be one person. He was a system. Every era has a Gavin. Every era creates another Hooli. Google, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, different logos, same incentives. Remember how Hooli constantly tried to buy its competitors instead of out-innovating them? That looked exaggerated in 2014. Now it's just standard operating procedure. Today, tech companies regularly spend billions acquiring teams, licensing technology, or executing what amounts to be reverse acqui-hires just to secure talent before competitors do. We've seen Microsoft invest heavily in OpenAI to secure access to both their cutting-edge models and the people building them. Google has repeatedly brought in startup founders and research teams through acquisitions to strengthen its AI efforts, and more recently, major AI companies have struck licensing and partnership deals that look less like traditional acquisitions and more like strategic moves to bring elite researchers and engineers into their orbit. Silicon Valley understood something that many startup founders learned the hard way. The moment you build something valuable, you're no longer competing against startups, you're competing against balance sheets. And the balance sheets usually win. One of the recurring themes of Silicon Valley was that talent mattered more than products. The technology was important, sure, but the engineers were everything. That concept has become almost absurdly true in the AI era. Today, companies aren't just competing for market share, they're competing for individual researchers. Take OpenAI, bringing in Peter Steinberger from OpenClaw, for example. Yes, OpenClaw is a fantastic tool that they're now investing crazy amounts into, without even having control over it. But that was only a strategic move to get Steinberger before someone else could poach him up. Entire startup strategies are being built around retaining talent long enough to avoid getting raided. Compensation packages have exploded and ownership stakes have become like recruiting weapons. Companies are effectively treating elite AI researchers like they're professional athletes. You can't tell me that's not a Silicon Valley plotline, because that's exactly the type of insanity Mike Judge spent 6 seasons making fun of. The show understood that eventually the most valuable resource in technology wouldn't be servers, it'd be the people. Here's where the video becomes bigger than tech. Most people think Silicon Valley is about software. It's not. The actual product is attention. Every company in the show is selling narratives. Richard sells a vision. Gavin sells a vision. Investors buy visions. Journalists write about visions. Users adopt visions. The code almost becomes secondary. And if you've watched the AI industry recently, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Every model launch is treated like a movie premiere. Every benchmark becomes marketing. Every announcement becomes theater. The technology matters, but the story around the technology matters just as much, if not more. Silicon Valley understood this way before most of the viewers did. Here's the paradox. The technology inside Silicon Valley is dated. Nobody is talking about decentralized internet platforms anymore. Nobody cares about compression in the same way. The references are old, the hardware is old, the software is old. Yet somehow, the show feels more accurate nowadays. Why is that? Because the show was never really about technology. It was about incentives, people chasing status, founders chasing relevance, executives chasing control, engineers chasing impossible dreams. Technology changes every 5 years. Human nature barely changes at all. That's why the show survives. It's not a tech startup comedy. It's a workplace comedy. It's a power comedy. And those stories never age. For years, people hated the ending, myself included when I first saw it. They wanted Pied Piper to win. They wanted Richard to become the next Steve Jobs. They wanted the company to change the world. Instead, the technology disappears, the company fails, and history moves on. At the time, that felt so unsatisfying, but now it feels brilliant, because most startups don't become Apple. Even revolutionary ideas disappear. Technology doesn't care about narratives. History doesn't care about protagonists. The world keeps moving, and that's exactly what happened. The internet moved on. AI arrived, crypto exploded, then it crashed. The metaverse happened, but nobody talks about it anymore. The cycle continues. Silicon Valley understood that, too. So, was Silicon Valley predicting the future? Not exactly. The compression breakthrough wasn't magic. The AI talent wars weren't prophecy. The acquisitions weren't clairvoyance. The show simply understood the rules of the game. And once you understand the rules, you don't need to predict specific events. You can predict behavior. That's why every year another headline looks like it came from a rejected Silicon Valley script. That's why Google accidentally recreated the Pied Piper joke. That's why Gavin Belsons somehow keeps coming back with a different company logo. And that's why Silicon Valley might be the most relevant tech show ever made. Not because it knew what technology would look like, because it knew exactly what people would do once they got their hands on it. Hi, I'm Yubel. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed that and would enjoy gaming content, please like and subscribe. Any support goes a long way. I hope you have a great day or night, and thank you again for watching.